Hello guys, it's Sam. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're having a back to school pep talk. Now, in this video, we're going to be talking about essentials, emergency kits, things I think you should bring to school, and also me giving you advice from a college graduate. The little twist on this video is I am actually going to be getting ready while I am telling you guys all my advice because I thought this would be a cute little get ready with me because I have so much to do today, so I just wanted to get ready with you guys. I just got my little Starbucks drink. So good. I will have everything that I'm talking about makeup wise linked down below, and I'm just kind of going to do my makeup while I talk to you guys about what I think is really important for back to school, my essentials, my emergency kit, and just some advice that I want to give you from a college graduate. First things first, we're going to talk about supplies. For supplies, I feel like a lot of people don't really this deep into what supplies means, but if your school is anything like my school was, they are going to send you a huge list of everything that you need for school. Now, my biggest tip is do not get everything on this little list because number one, your backpack or your locker is either going to be stuffed and jammed shut or it's just gonna be really heavy and it's going to hurt your back. My number one tip is to wait until you actually go to the first day of school. Now, what do I mean by this? Obviously, don't show up completely empty-handed because that's never good, but show up with like a notebook and a pencil or a notebook and a pen or just something where you can write down what you actually need that day because I guarantee you your teacher will go over in detail what you are going to need for that class, and it's just not necessary to buy everything right before. Not saying you shouldn't buy anything, but you don't have to buy everything that's on that list right before, because what I have learned over the years is that it's more important to actually get what the teacher wants, and what the schools put on the list may be completely different than that, or it may just not be updated or something like that. So what I have learned is to actually just sit tight and wait until that first day of school so you can actually get what the teacher or professor wants for that class. So that's the first thing regarding supplies, just because I feel like everyone's always in a rush, and don't get me wrong, I love back to school shopping, but everyone's kind of like always in a rush to get certain things before the school year. But if your teacher actually wants something else, it's better just to wait so you know exactly what your teacher wants and you get the right thing, and then you're not as stressed because you know it is going to be the right thing, if that makes sense. Alrighty, now we're going to get into the actual supplies part. I am going to talk about backpacks. I think backpacks are very, very important. All of my school years, I honestly didn't really use a backpack, but my advice to you would be definitely use a backpack. It honestly would have helped me out so much because I found myself not bringing books that I needed to bring just because I didn't want to carry them and stuff like that. And honestly, that was so bad on my part. So backpack wise, I have some on my Amazon storefront that I am obsessed with, and the best thing I can tell you is get a backpack that is going to hold a lot of stuff. This includes your emergency kit, your school supplies, your books, and also stuff that you are going to need throughout the day. Whether that's a hairbrush, makeup, water, stuff like that, you are going to want something that's going to hold everything so you don't have to jam everything in a backpack. The more and more I have a bigger backpack, the more I don't find my back hurting because there's more room and it's not as jammed. Now, school supplies. So, first thing I recommend always is a planner. Planners are my number one holy grail. I love planners so much, and it's because I am a very organized person. I think that success in school, for me at least, came from always being very organized and knowing what was due. In college, I would literally have people ask me, oh hey, like when is this due? Or do you remember when so-and-so said that this test was? And I always had it written down. And that's the number one reason why I like planners so much, because when I realized that I can literally control how I do in school just by controlling how organized I am, the game literally changed and I started becoming way more successful. So my whole point in telling you this is that yes, it was kind of annoying to carry a planner in the beginning just because I felt weird taking it out in my classes and writing down literally everything the teacher would say. First of all, I want to say right now it's not weird at all. I just was that type of student that felt weird doing it. And honestly, once I started doing it, the game literally changed and I became the most organized person ever, and my grades and my success in school went up so much just by doing this. Also, I am really into cute school supplies, and planners are kind of that like outlet that I always found myself getting a really cute planner or a really cute pen to write in my planner, and it was just something that I really, really enjoyed. So honestly, planners at the end of my college years were so fun for me to write in, and I literally still write in a planner to this day because of how beneficial they are and how they helped me. If you guys want, I also could do a college organization video because I know so many tips and successful study hacks that literally made me go from point A to point B. Next thing I'm going to talk about is pens, pencils, literally everything writing supplies. So for pens and pencils, I really like I'll have a picture on the screens of which ones I like. I love mechanical pencils. I think that they write so nicely. And for pens, I like getting colored pens because I like to color code my notes. Something that I think is essential is learning a study hack and understanding hacks that work for you. So what I used to do when I was in college and in school is I would write things in red that I didn't really understand, and then I would write things in like pink or blue that I understood, so that when I was studying I would know exactly what to go over and what I needed to review versus what I kind of understood. So that is why I kind of liked writing in color coding notes. For me, I understood what I needed to go over at home and what I was more comfortable with. Now, next thing that I'm going to talk about is notebooks versus binders. So for me, I always wanted to have a binder around, and I always thought, oh, you know, like I should just carry this binder. So many people are carrying binders, and honestly, unless a professor says like use a binder, I honestly don't recommend binders anymore, just because first of all, they're so big and heavy to carry around, and I literally had like one of those huge binders that I would try to shove everything in for like my 8 classes, and that literally got so unorganized and didn't help me out all in the long run. So what I do recommend is getting a binder, yes, but get a huge binder. Now you're probably like, Sam, you just told me don't get a binder. Yes, you're right. I do recommend notebooks, but something I recommend is getting a huge binder. But you're not actually going to take this binder to school. You're going to leave it at your house, and throughout the school year, you're going to put important papers for your classes in that binder. So this binder is more of like an organization binder rather than a binder that you're going to take to school, if that makes sense. Now, what this did for me is it allowed me to stay very organized, and honestly, my grades improved when I knew where everything was and I wasn't stressing out about where to find certain things when my exam or projects came up, because I already knew where everything was, and it made me get things done a lot faster rather than having to sit there and try to find where those things were. Now, for notebooks, I do recommend getting one notebook for each of your important classes, because when I found myself getting 3 subject notebooks or whatever you want to call them, I just got really confused on where everything was and what class was for what. So now what I like to do is I like to get cute aesthetic notebooks. Even to this day, like I work a corporate job now, and I still like getting notebooks because I like to color code where certain things have to go and when certain things are due. So what I've learned is that the things you do in school actually carry over to the real world, and it might not be the exact lesson that you learn in school, but just the skills that you develop really do carry over to the real world. So that's just an example of one for you guys. The more and more I allowed myself to stay organized in school, the more successful I am to this day, and the things that I did to stay organized did carry over. Also, I literally don't have a mirror where I'm sitting, so I have to use my little makeup mirror or my makeup would look literally awful. But those are kind of like the tips as for notebooks and stuff like that. I think that one subject notebooks for each class is very important and will get you a long way in the organization world and everything like that. I know it may be a little annoying to sit there and carry around 8 different notebooks, but trust me, it worked for me, and I think it really will help others as well. Alrighty, next things next, we're going to talk index cards. Index cards were literally my holy grail. I feel like so many people kind of don't like using index cards. Actually, I kind of feel like it's mixed. I loved index cards. They were literally my favorite thing ever. When I went to sports, because I used to do gymnastics, or when I had a competition or wherever I was, I would always make index cards for my exams, because they're such a handy dandy thing that you can like put in a pocket or throw in your backpack and just bring it with you. I used to do gymnastics, and when I had to bus to my gymnastics competitions, on the bus I would just throw on some headphones and be able to study because I took my index cards with me. And when I tell you, this is something that literally changed the game for me. I was doing so much better on my test, and I would write questions on my index cards. So what I did was I sat there, and instead of necessarily writing down what the definition of something was, unless it was like I needed to know the definition, I would write down questions so I would be able to test myself and answer those questions. So I definitely recommend like a post-it note or kind of like an index card or some type of study hack that will get you from point A to point B. Next thing, we have a pencil holder. I talked about this before, but I feel like staying very organized is what really helped me do well in school, and it could be something as simple as a planner or pencil holders, or kind of again just knowing where everything was. So I definitely do recommend a pencil holder, because I've noticed that the more organized I was, the more successful I became throughout my college and school years. staplers. This one is going to sound kind of silly, but it's so important. A mini stapler. I had this one professor, and I will never forget this day. Basically, my professor wanted staples to be in your paper that you were handing in before the start of class. Now, in my school, it was very hard to find a stapler, and unless you stapled it at home, you basically weren't going to be able to staple your paper unless you went to the library or something like that. And my teacher really wanted a vertical staple. Most of the time, you'll staple a paper horizontally. He wanted a vertical one, and to this day, I'll never forget it because I literally stapled it the wrong way, and he took points off my paper because he specifically said, I know it's not a big deal, but I'm trying to teach you guys to follow directions. Ever since that day, I literally had a mini stapler wherever I went in my backpack because I was so scared of getting points off of a paper. So let me tell you, like, it may have sounded silly at the time, or I may have been mad at it, but the lesson he taught me was honestly to always have the things you need on you because you never know if it is going to be handy. So now my number one thing I always say is always make sure you have a mini stapler on you if you have a professor that likes it to be stapled before class. I think my last thing for school supplies is actually going to be highlighters. Like I was talking about before, I like to color code my notes, but if you are someone who likes to highlight your notes, I think that can go a very long way as well. Highlighting my notes was something I used to do all the time, and honestly I still highlight my planner to this day because it helps me out so much. So I think that having markers or highlighters can really help with studying and organization hacks as well. What I liked to do with highlighters is I liked to kind of just highlight what I needed to extra review. So I would go into my notes, and even if I color coded something red, if I really didn't understand it, I would highlight it or kind of like star it with a highlighter or a marker so that I would remember, hey, go back to this. Now we're going to go into my emergency kit. So for emergency kit, the number one thing I want to say is a hairbrush. I have found so many times where I needed a hairbrush and I didn't have one, especially on like picture days or stuff like that. I literally never had one on me, and it was very hard for me to be able to fix my hair. And if you know me, I am like crazy about how my hair looks. It looks bad right now, which is kind of funny because I'm talking about hair, but it's just because I have to do it after this video, so please ignore how it looks right now. But when I was in school, I always wanted to make sure my hair looked decent, and especially on picture day, I would always freak out when my hair didn't look good. So number one thing I have on my little list for a kit is a hairbrush. And it could be like a mini one, and I know they sell like this type of hairbrush at Target. Those are literally my favorite ones ever. They sell like miniature like travel ones. I would recommend those. Next is deodorant. I cannot stress this enough, but I never carry deodorant on me, and I always would say to myself, make sure you carry deodorant, make sure like you have everything you need, and for some reason I just never would carry it. And let me say, this was the biggest mistake ever because as you guys know, like in certain schools you're going to have to go to gym class and you're going to have to do things that are going to get you sweaty, or even if you don't, there's going to be days where it's just extra hot. And the number one thing I learned is bring deodorant, because it could be like a mini deodorant, like a travel section deodorant, but the more and more you allow yourself to have the things you need, the less stressed out I started to become once I started to do these things. Because when I didn't, I would literally start smelling and I'd literally start freaking out. Also, going along with that, definitely bring some type of like chapstick or like lip gloss, because my lips throughout the day would always get so dry and I never had lip gloss or chapstick on me. And I'd come home and my mom would literally be like, why do your lips look like that? And I was like, oh, definitely bring some type of like hydration for your lips. Next thing, Band-Aids. This isn't necessarily a necessity, but I just always like to be extra safe, and I would always get blisters from gymnastics, which is kind of gross, but true. So I would always bring Band-Aids with me so I could put them on my feet. And obviously, yes, the nurse has like Band-Aids, medicine, stuff like that, but in my opinion, the more I was prepared, the less stressed out I was. So that is why I always carried Band-Aids and medicine if I needed it. Next, I have pads or tampons. Carrying these around really helped me because I was always stressed out about when my period was coming, especially when I knew that it was supposed to be coming. I like would always stress out about what I was wearing, if I was going to have like an accident, if you know what I mean. So just carrying those things around really helped me because I knew that I was prepared. Next thing, I have dry shampoo. Now again, they have mini ones in the little travel section, but dry shampoo really helped me because whenever I would go to a gymnastics meet or my hair just didn't look good or whatever it would always give me that kind of like extra confidence confidence boost. And I'm gonna be honest, I was really all about confidence in school, so I literally did whatever it took. One of the last things I'm going to talk about is lotion. I think having lotion and having something to hydrate your skin is so important, and I feel like a lot of people don't talk about like the emergency kit of school. A lot of people talk about college, like supplies and stuff like that, but what I've learned is the more I felt happy with myself, the better I did in school. So I just thought that making a video and talking about the things that made me happy and made me feel better would be really beneficial. And lotion really did help me, because whenever I would have dry skin, it would really like irk me. So lotion is another one. And again, you can go to Target or like a travel section or something like that, and they all have like the little travel lotions and hairbrushes and deodorants and everything like that. And I kind of put it in like an emergency little kit. So I would get kind of like a bag like this, and I would just throw everything in here and put it in like the front pouch of my backpack, and it always reassured me. One other thing, now this is a preference, I guess all of this is a preference, but I also always had mascara on me just to reapply when I needed to, because my mascara was literally always like dripping off my face. With that, also makeup wipes, because when it's sweaty and hot outside, sometimes you just want to take your makeup off. That is everything I have for my supplies and essentials video and emergency kit. Last thing I want to say, and the most important advice I can give you, is to be yourself. College and any type of school grade that you may be in was very hard for me, and the number one thing that I learned is being yourself is what is going to make you shine and like people notice you. Your good efforts and your hard work and everything you do is going to stand out when you are yourself. And I just want to let you guys know that you're beautiful just the way you are. I know school could be hard, and I'm here to help and give any advice I can. So coming from someone who's been through it before, be yourself, allow yourself to shine. Don't let anyone take away your sparkle. With all that being said, that's all my advice for today. I have to go log on to work now because I have work in 10 minutes and I gotta fix my hair before my meeting. So I will talk to you guys in a little bit. Comment this emoji if you watched up until this point, and I'll see you guys in my next video really soon. Bye.